And now, Death Valley Days. Howdy, folks. I'm the old ranger, and I have another interesting true story for you about the historic Death Valley country. If your life depended upon it, could you remember where you were and what you were doing on a certain day 15 years ago? And could you prove it? That's the situation in the story you're about to hear. A story I call The Hangman Waits. The scene is laid in the famous old silver camp of Cerro Gordo, northwest of Death Valley, in the year of 1889.
That's quite a sign you got there, Aldrich.
Yeah, I never had the heart to change it, even though Zimmy's been gone 15 years now. Best partner a man ever had.
He died?
He was murdered. Murdered in cold blood right inside there. Surely you remember?
I wasn't district attorney then. Just a struggling young lawyer in San Francisco.
It was in all the papers.
Well, mining camp shootings were pretty common at that time.
This was no shooting. This was a butcher. He claimed Zimmerman had shortchanged him. Zimmy, the most honest man that ever lived. This fella grabbed up a miner's pick from the counter. It was too late.
They hanged him?
He stole a horse and got away. There was posses combing the countryside for weeks. Wanted notices posted everywhere. Never found him. This was back in 1874, August 16th. I can see the calendar on the wall now.
Well, the arm of the law is long. They may still catch up with it.
If they do, I hope I'm there to see him swing. Morning, Mrs. Kidreed.
Oh, good morning.
Hey. The Cerro Gordo News has got the whole story in its old files.
Complete with pictures?
Never was any pictures of this fella. That was one of the troubles. But I've got a picture of him burned in my memory. He's rather short, medium build, little mustache, blue eyes, look kind of harmless. It's him, the murderer. Standing right there. I'd recognize that face anywhere. It's him, I tell you. Grab that man. Don't let him get away.
Hey, what's the idea? Take your hands off me.
Hold him. Yes. It's you, all right. Timothy Slade.
My name is Alex Grant.
Hey, deputy, arrest him.
What for?
For the murder of Henry Zimmerman here in Cerro Gordo, August 16, 1874.
Why, he must be crazy. I never set foot in this town before today.
Are you sure, Mr. Aldrich? You bet. He don't fool me. He's Slade.
You've got me mixed up with someone else, I tell you. Oh, it is him. The same man who came rushing out of the store that day. Nearly knocked me down. His hands all bloody.
That's enough for me. Better come along quiet now.
Oh, if I committed a murder here, do you think I'd be fool enough to come back?
Like all murderers, drawn to the scene of the crime.
Who are you?
Lucius Peck, the man who will represent the state when you come to trial.
All right, come along.
Once a week, I'll come in and dust the office for you. Oh, not when it's full of clients.
And the clients we hope to get.
Darling, you've only just hung out your shingle. They're going to flock in here.
Spoken like a true wife.
I'm still not quite used to it, being Mrs. Gregory Lewis.
I hope you won't regret it.
Greg.
Or am I bringing you to Cerro Gordo, so far away from home?
There's only one place for a mining lawyer to succeed, and that's in mining country.
You really do believe in me, don't you, Jamie?
I believe you're going to be one of the great mining lawyers of the West. As great as William Stewart. Greater.
I must admit it'll be a feather in my cap to send this murderer who's been at large for 15 years to the gallows.
You think it's a sure thing?
My dear fellow, at least a dozen people in this town have positively identified him. The cleverest criminal lawyer in the country couldn't get him off.
I sometimes wish I'd gone in for criminal law. The competition here is really getting stiff for mining lawyers. Do you know how many shingles are hanging out here in Cerro Gordo?
One more than there was yesterday.
I've half a mind to go in and meet this young upstart, Lewis.
Do. Wish him luck. Luck, as one colleague to another.
Perhaps throw some business his way.
Why not?
Are you out of your mind?
Look, Alex Grant is badly in need of a lawyer to defend him. It would give Mr. Lewis a start. And a finish. Mark him for a failure, first crack out of the box. Men have left town for less.
Lucius, you're a genius.
I certainly appreciate you dropping in like this, Mr. Whitman.
Our very first caller.
As one colleague to another, I just wanted to wish you luck.
I'll need it. Pay for all these.
And there's a case coming up shortly that might interest you. The People versus Alex Grant. You may have heard.
No?
It's creating quite a sensation. This Alex Grant is charged with murder.
Murder?
Well, murder is a little out of my line, Mr. Whitman. You see, I'm a mining lawyer.
Mining lawyers are starving to death out here, Mr. Lewis. You'd be wise to take what you can get.
I'm prepared for rough sledding.
Whoever handles the case will make a reputation for himself.
Well, then it shouldn't be difficult to find someone.
Oddly enough, it is. You see, the murdered man was a close friend of everybody in Cerro Gordo. A very close friend. And under the circumstances, well, you can understand, they'd naturally be reluctant.
To defend his killer, of course.
Well, the accused must have friends, too.
He's a stranger, knows nobody. This killing took place 15 years ago.
15 years?
Why, this sounds fascinating.
Sounds to me like the poor guy's got all the cards stacked against him.
He needs help the worst way. Needs to have somebody who wants to defend him, not just a lawyer appointed by the court.
I see. By George, I'll do it.
Oh, Greg, I'm so glad.
My congratulations, sir.
When's the trial set for?
3 weeks from today, Circuit Court.
Well, then I'd best look up my client.
The jail's just up the street. Good day.
Good day, Mr. Whitman.
Mrs. Lewis.
Good day.
I certainly appreciate you coming in. Thanks again.
My pleasure.
Bye.
Oh, darling, you're on your way.
It boils down to this. We've got to produce an alibi for the time of the murder. Prove that you were somewhere else.
That's the truth, all right.
Can you remember where you were in August of 1874?
Yeah, I think so. I was driving a team for Remy Nadeau, hauling freight across the desert from San Bernardino to Panama.
Good.
One of the lonesomest stretches of desert land a man ever traveled.
Now, was there someone with you?
Yeah, a swamper named Jamie, a little cockney from London. He died just after.
And that's out. But you must have stopped places somewhere along the route.
Yeah, water holes where we camped.
No settlements?
Gosh, no. Wait a minute. Yes, there was one way station, just beyond the Cajon Pass, where we crossed the Mojave River.
Yes?
That's where I was on August 16th. We left San Bernardino on the 13th. I can remember because it was my birthday. It always took us 3 days to get to that station. It never varied.
Good, good. This is better luck than I dared hope for. Was there a station tender?
Yeah. He acted as agent for the mines in the district.
What was his name?
Oh, I can see him perfectly. He was lean and grizzled.
What was his name?
I'm trying to remember.
Think, man, think. Your life depends on it.
Oh, give me time. Give me
We
time.
haven't got time. You go on trial 3 weeks from today, and this man is the only person in the world who can save you.
Oh, I know it. I know it.
He's racked his brains until they're frazzled, but he cannot remember that station tender's name.
Do you think he's telling the truth?
Yes, I'm convinced of it. Alex Grant is no more guilty of that murder than I am.
I'm glad to hear you say that, Greg, because I believe in him, too.
But unless we can locate that witness and bring him here to testify, Alex will hang.
How far away is this way station?
It doesn't exist anymore. It was abandoned in the 70s when the Panamint folded. Oh, Janie, I'm up against a stone wall. And the days are passing. It's only 2 weeks now before the case comes up. My first case.
You know what I think? I think you need some supper. Don't worry, honey. You haven't lost yet.
Everything from A to Z. Does that include R for rope?
What kind of rope? He's gonna hang?
Well, the case hasn't been tried yet.
But it's surefire.
I'd be glad to donate a rope. I'll donate a sack for his head. I'll donate a coffin and a spade.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Mrs. Lewis, you're looking very charming today.
Thank you.
Mr. Lewis is the attorney I told you about, who's defending Timothy Slade.
You mean Alex Grant?
I was delighted to learn that the prisoner is in such capable hands.
How are things coming?
Oh, shaping up. Well, glad to have met you, sir.
Thank you.
Good day.
Good day.
Good day. I didn't like the way those lawyers smiled, like cats who've swallowed a canary.
Yes. And I have a horrible suspicion as to who's the canary. Janie, they played me for a sucker. Saddled me with a hopeless case.
Not hopeless, darling.
Oh, let's face it, honey. It'd take a miracle to save Alex from the gallows. The evidence of a man whose name has been forgotten. A man who, for all we know, isn't even alive.
Well, miracles have happened, and we still got 14 days.
Mr. Slade.
Alex Grant's the name.
Still sticking to your story, eh? You know, things would go a lot easier for you if you'd simply confess.
Confessed to a crime that I didn't commit?
If your case comes to court, you're bound to be convicted. And the judge can decree but one sentence: death by hanging. But if you'll confess, I'll enter a plea for leniency.
You mean life imprisonment?
Preferable to a rope, isn't it? Now, I've drawn up a statement. All you have to do is... You shouldn't have done that, Mr. Slade.
Grant's the name, I tell you. Alex Grant.
You leave me no other choice now but to prosecute you to the end.
I'm innocent, I tell you. I never saw Henry Zimmerman in my life. And I never set foot in Cerro Gordo until the other day.
Pictures don't lie. I managed to find an old photograph of the murderer, which I shall introduce in court as evidence. Exhibit A. Take a gander at this.
Gander. Gander! That's the man's name! Jailer! Jailer, get my lawyer here, quick! Jailer! Harry Gander. That was his name.
The question now is how to locate him. When's the last time you saw him?
About a year later. He was fixing to retire.
He didn't say where to.
No. He just remarked he was getting on in years.
How old was he?
60, maybe.
That'd make him 75 years old now.
I know what you're thinking, but it isn't so. Those old desert rats live on forever. They just dry up and go away.
Yes, but where's he blown to? Oh, I'm sorry, Alex, but time is getting short.
Yeah, I know. We're no better off than we were before.
Oh, sure we are. At least we know his name is Gander. Goosey, goosey gander, whither dost thou wander?
That's what my boss Nato used to call him, Goosey Gander.
Remy Nato. Oh, what a dope I've been. He's the man to contact.
Nato gave up trading years ago, in '81 when the railroads came in.
Where'd he go?
Oh, Los Angeles would be my guess. That's where he hailed from.
All right, I'll send a wire right away and find out.
Remy Nadeau in hotel business here.
Have you information? Whereabouts? One Harry Gander, in charge of Mojave Station, 1874.
The answer.
Replying your inquiry, do you refer to Mojave Railroad Station or Stage Station? Oh, no. 2 precious days wasted. Mojave Stage Station. Gander killed in corral fight, 1875.
That was his nephew, Harry. I remember when it happened. Tell him we want Goosey Gander.
Gander, we are trying to locate, nicknamed Goosey. Gander, living in San Bernardino, 3rd Street.
I'll pack your bag.
Well, now you tracked me down. What do you want of me?
Mr. Gander, do you recall a teamster who used to drive for NATO back in '74 by the name of Alex Grant?
Grant? Alex Grant? Oh, yeah, sure, I remember him. Short fellow, a little on the stocky side. Better spoken than the usual run along line Skinners.
Yes, that's the man.
Yeah. What's now, did he die and leave me some money?
No, he's not dead yet. But he's about to be tried for murder.
Murder?
Murder?
And you're the only person in the world who can save him, Mr. Gander.
What do you mean?
Alex Grant claims that at the time of the murder, he was nowhere near the scene of the crime, that he was at your station.
What was the date?
The 16th of August, 1874.
15 years ago. How could anyone possibly remember?
Chauffeur, the gentleman is asking me, not you. August 16th. And I can't recall offhand, but give me time and I can recollect.
Well, you'll have to do your recollecting on the way. The trial's set for tomorrow at Cerro Gordo.
Oh, great dear Hossifat. We'd better get going.
Now, just a minute. My husband ain't going to get mixed up in no murder case.
Chauffeur, you heard what the man said. My testimony is the only thing that'll save Alex Grant.
And what kind of testimony is that?
Well, I'll come up with something. I've got a powerful memory.
No jury'd ever believe you. It's a wild goose chase.
Well, my name is Gander.
A man 75 years old.
Woman, touch my valise. Get. George, that's one time I won. I've been keeping a record in this little book here of all the fights that me and Sophie's had since we've been married. She's still 28 up on me. I hope the court has more confidence in me than she does.
Mr. Gander, now you state that on the 16th of August, 1874, the prisoner was at your way station 200 miles from Cerro Gordo.
That's right. Drove in about 11 o'clock in the morning, had a 2-wagon, 12-mule team outfit.
Now you're sure of the date?
Positive.
Will you tell us why?
Well, I was giving him a hand with some freight. He was hauling a heavy load that trip, I recall. And we got talking about the weather. So I remarked that it had been a terrible hot summer. The worst August I ever remembered. So he said, Alec did, he said, cheer up. Yesterday was the 15th. We're past the halfway mark. So that's how I know it must have been the August the 16th that he was there.
Now, is there anything else that you can recall?
Ain't that enough?
Your witness?
Mr. Gander, how many teamsters were employed by Nadeau at the time under discussion?
Oh, 50, maybe 60. Biggest freighting outfit on the desert.
And these teams were constantly coming and going?
Well, that's the object in freighting, mister.
And yet you claim to recall the exact day and hour that one of these teamsters stopped at your station.
Well, I didn't have nothing else to think about. Silence! Proceed.
You even claim to remember a casual conversation about the weather, the most universal and commonplace of all topics.
Yes, I do.
Mr. Gander, you are a man 75 years old.
I was only 60 at the time.
How can you possibly expect this court to place credence in such testimony?
Because it's the truth.
Witness dismissed.
How'd I do?
Gentlemen of the jury, you have heard the testimony offered by the witnesses for the prosecution, all of whom positively identify the prisoner as the murderer of Henry Zimmerman. These witnesses represent the solid citizenry of Cerro Gordo, our leading merchant and partner of the dead man, the leader of the town's good works, the superintendent of the Cerro Gordo mine. The word of such witnesses, my friends, rings as true as the silver from these hills, as opposed to the evidence presented by the defense. A desert rat, well past the biblical span of 70 years and 10, who can remember only that the day was hot. August on the desert, and it was hot.
I remember something else, too. It just come to me. On that day, among the stuff that he had to put off at my station was a jug of sulfuric acid. It got broke when he lifted it off his shoulder, and he got a spill of the acid on his left arm. Made an ugly burn from his shoulder clear into his elbow.
He's right. Look at this.
Very clever.
You don't think it's real, eh?
Of course it's real. It may even have been incurred at Mr. Gander's station, as he claimed.
It was, I swear it.
There's nothing to indicate when. You should have had the date tattooed while you were about it.
Why, you great...
Either that or rigged that story better between you.
Your Honor, I submit this as evidence.
Evidence of collusion? My worthy colleague is right, but it deceives nobody. Certainly not these 12 tried men in truth.
Order! Silence! There'll be a recess of 1/2 hour, after which the court will charge the jury.
Your Honor!
Take the prisoner to his cell. The jury will stay here incommunicado.
But, Your Honor!
Court dismissed. I'm afraid I bungled things.
No, you did all you could, Harry. Cards were just stacked against us.
You mean you think there's absolutely no hope?
You saw the faces of those jurors.
Yeah, Sophie was right. They didn't believe me.
The judge, too. He's for conviction.
Might as well chalk it up right now to her credit. You see, I keep a record in this little book of all the fights me and my wife has had.
You even put down what you fought about.
No, them entries way back there was business. Notes about freight and accounts due.
Mr. Gander. Greg, look at this.
For God's sake. And to think you had this in your pocket all the time. Come on, let's get back to court. It's almost time for them to reconvene. Your Honor, I ask that the case be reopened.
On what ground?
Additional evidence has just come to light. This notebook, Your Honor, the personal property of Mr. Harry Gander for the past 20 years. If it please, Your Honor, will you read this entry? The pages are yellow, the writing is faded, but I think you can make it out.
Alex Grant got a bad burn on his arm from unloading a carboy of acid. Hurt like the devil, but he didn't say much.
And the date?
August 16, 1874. Let the jury examine this. If Sophie ever finds out that book with a record of all our fights was passed around the courtroom.
The jury's coming back.
Gentlemen of the jury, have you arrived at a verdict?
Reckon we have, Your Honor.
The prisoner will rise and face the jury. What is the verdict?
Not guilty.
And so, a happy ending all around. Alex Grant went free. The DA lost the next election. Greg Lewis became a famous lawyer, and Harry and Sophie Gander fought happily ever after.